Hey guys, we're going to be looking at the 2020 Ford Edge SEL all-wheel drive. This thing is powered by a 2-liter turbo engine, 260 horsepower, 280 foot-pounds of torque. Now it doesn't have the factory tow package on this specific vehicle. However, if we do it aftermarket, it's a 1,500 pound towing capacity. You get it done from the factory, 3,500 pounds. Guys, let's take a quick look at this bad boy. So we've got a couple different things at the very top here. We've got our unlock button, our lock button, remote start, and then from here we've got our tailgate lift and then our horn button. So in order to be able to lift the tailgate up, what we're going to do is hit this button twice. It's a power lift gate. Another way in order to lift it up is from the back of the vehicle here. All we're going to do, there's a button underneath. You're simply going to press the button. Now let's have a look at the inside. Underneath here, what we're going to do is just lift up quickly here. And then as you can see, we've got our spare tire here. We've got the lift underneath here as well too. Off to the left-hand side here. Got the little spigot if we ever need to use a jerry can. Ford's really kind of thought ahead here, so we've got a little bit of extra storage space along the back here as well. Now in order to lower the seats, it is a power down and then manual up. So we've got left side here, right side here. So all we're going to do is press and hold the button here and let it swing around. And then we're going to do the right side here as well. All right, there you go. As you can see, now you've got even more room in the back here. In order to lift the seats up, all we're going to do, pop up here. Here we go. A couple things to point out on this side of the vehicle, very similar to the EcoSport and the Escape. We've got our fog lamps here. From here, we've got the auto lamps on, and we can tweak a couple of the other settings here. Lights off. I recommend either using the lights off on the far left or using the auto lamps. We've got our dimmer switches here. We've got the liftgate control here, and then our traction control, we can turn that on and off here as well. The steering wheel is telescopic, so in order to be able to adjust that, we're just going to lift this down. There we go. And now we can slide the steering wheel in, out, up, and down as necessary. Once you've got the position that you'd like, all you're going to do is move that back up. All right, next up is going to be along the driver's side door. We've got our switch to be able to move the seat forward and backwards, up and down by pressing down or lifting up. And then we can move the back of the chair. Let's just get a view of that there. Perfect. And then the back of the chair, just using that other switch there. And then the next one down here is going to be our lumbar support. So power lumbar on the driver and passenger side on the SEL. Very similar to a lot of other Ford vehicles. So they've done away with the traditional key. So we don't have anywhere to actually put the key. So they are push button starts. So very similar. All we're going to do is press the brake and then the engine start stop button here. So we've got the Sync 3 home screen here, where we've got a couple different options. So you can turn your seat warmers on from the screen here. You can also turn on the heated steering wheel, which is going to come standard in the SEL. From here, we've got our traditional audio settings. So again, we've got our different audio presets. We can turn it. We can turn the volume on just down here. So we've got our power button here, and then our and then a volume adjusting here. Let's go to an actual station here. There we go. Perfect. Back to audio for a second here. So what we've done is we've tuned to a station just using the tuning button here. You can use voice tuning to get there. But if you want to save the preset now, all we're going to do is press and hold. And then it saves that preset there for us. Very similar to the other vehicles. So sources is going to get AM, FM, Sirius XM, and Bluetooth. Jumping back here, you can choose to direct tune as well if you want. When we get into climate, that gives us some advanced climate control options here. So if we look down here where our traditional climate control options would be, so we've got plus or minus, so it's dual zone climate control, so for the driver's side and the passenger side here. And then you've got your fan control here as well. But using the screen menu here, we can adjust a few things. So you can choose to have from the windshield to your face, down onto the floor here, rear defroster. We can turn it off. We can use dual zone climate control, and then we've got our fan control settings here. So let's say if we want the AC running right now. Let's drop this down here, pop it onto AC, and we want it blowing at the face. Perfect. Phone, very similar as well too. We're going to add a phone if we want to get one in. Navigation here. If the vehicle is equipped with navigation, the button will be here. If you don't choose to go with the navigation package, this button essentially goes away and you only have the other 5 buttons remaining here. So back up to controls here. Apps, if you do have your phone connected, it gives you the ability to use certain apps such as the Waze app here. When we drive down into settings, we've got our sound button here. Sound, very similar. We can get into the treble, mid-range, bass, balance, fade, etc. Clock, we've got our 24 versus 12-hour time, so we're in 24-hour or 12-hour mode, I should say, right now. Auto daylight savings time update is so if we end up going into another province, another state, etc., with a different time zone, by having this setting selected, it's automatically going to adjust the time zone for us, which is exactly what we want to do. So it's time zone and then the daylight savings time update as well. Comes to Bluetooth, turning Bluetooth on and off. Phones, that's where we can add phones, change phones, etc. Radio is going to give us some extra options for the radio buttons. 911. 911 assist is going to come into play when we have our phone connected to the vehicle. Navigation gives us a few other options for maps. Big one is going to look at is route preferences, and that gives you the option to scroll down here, avoid freeways, toll roads, ferries, cars, trains, etc. Okay, and then let's hop over here. When we get into general settings, we've got a couple other options here. We can change our language, we can change the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, kilometers to miles, and then automatic system updates as well. Now that's one that I'd recommend keeping on. When you do the automatic system updates, it's going to update the screen itself, the software and firmware in the vehicle. However, the one thing that won't get updated is going to be the navigation. That's something that you have to do aftermarket. And that's either done yourself or directly through your Ford dealer. Back down here, we've got Wi-Fi, so we've got our automatic updates. We can turn that on. Make sure if you're going to do automatic update, you're connected to Wi-Fi at home. So in order to do that, we're just going to click Wi-Fi, view available networks. And then when it recognizes your settings at home, all we're going to do is select your network and then OK through there. All right, down on the bottom here, we've got some generic vehicle settings. So vehicle settings, we've got some things for our camera, for the keypad as well. All right, so we've got the 5-digit factory code, or you can set your own specific codes here as well. You can also do it outside the vehicle on the door. And then back here, so if we jump into our display now, we can turn the display off. We can change it so that it automatically adjusts the mode, whether it's daytime or nighttime mode. Into voice control here. Voice control, we've got advanced mode, phone, and command lists. So advanced mode here is this. So if we press the voice activation button on the steering wheel, all right, versus that actually shouldn't have done that. That should have come up with another option here. Oh. For whatever reason, this one just doesn't want to work right now. Okay, getting into valet mode. Valet mode will lock the screen out so that people can't just jump into the screen here. So if we hit valet mode here, we're going to enter a 4-digit PIN. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Done. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. And as you can see, the screen is locked out, so I can't actually touch anything else on the screen until I enter that 4-digit PIN number again. And there we go. So now we've got the basics on the settings here. Moving down, we've got a couple other options here. So we've got our seek button. So if we're using the radio, we can jump between our different presets. If we're listening to a phone or an MP3 player, we can skip between songs, pause, play, etc. Down here, we've got our dual zone climate control for the driver passenger side, as well as our fan control. And from here, we've got our windshield wiper, we've got our windshield defroster, max windshield defroster, rear defroster, auto system, air condition on, max AC, our circulate button. That's going to circulate the air that's in the vehicle. If we don't have that on, it's going to pull air from the outside of the vehicle. We've got our seat warmers here, and then we've got the on-off button here. A little bit further down, okay, we're just going to press the button here, and underneath the pad here, we've got a couple of USB ports, some storage space for our phone as well. And then dropping down a tiny little bit further and around. So we've got our park, reverse, neutral, drive, and the sport mode here as well. So sport mode, you have to be in drive there, and then you're going to hit the S for the sport mode there. And that's going to give you the ability to use the paddle shifters on the side of the steering wheel. Looking at the steering wheel now, we've got a couple options here. So this vehicle is equipped with adaptive cruise control. So what we're going to do is hit on when you get up to the speed that you'd like. Once you hit the speed that you like, you're going to hit set. And that's going to set you at whatever the speed is that you desire. Plus or minus is going to increase at 1 kilometer or mile per hour. This right here is going to be the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. You've got 3 different settings there. And then this one is going to be the lane centering button. So the actual lane keeping system we can turn on or off just on the left stick here. So there's a little button there. We can turn the lane keeping system on or off here. Let's take a look. So we've got the system on versus off here. So that's the lane keeping system. And then this one here is going to be the lane centering system button. All right, off to the right side here, we've got our volume rockers as well as a few other buttons here. So this is going to be the mute button. This is going to be our volume rocker up or down. And if we want to mute here, perfect. This is going to be our speaker button, so our voice navigation button. So we can turn on the voice navigation here. We can change the radio station using this button here as well. This is going to give us the ability to switch between different presets. If we're listening to an MP3 player or music from our phone, you can skip the songs here. If you've got an incoming phone call, you're going to press this button here. If you want to hang up the phone call, you're going to press this button here. When we look at the keypads here, so we've got 2 separate keypads, one on the left side, one on the right side of the steering wheel here. And let's look up in order to figure out what happens and how these things work. Let's drop the steering wheel out of the way a tiny little bit. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So let's take a look first off at this these buttons here on the left side of the steering wheel. So we're specifically going to watch this side of the screen here. So we can change between different settings here, different display modes. So if we go display mode and hit OK, so we've got our RPMs, we've got our fuel settings now and the heat of the engine, tire pressure, speed, intelligent all-wheel drive, distance to empty, and then back to our RPMs there as well. If you press the left button there, trip 1 and 2, that'll give us our generic trip settings. If we want to reset the trip settings from this screen here, we're just going to press and hold OK. And then that's reset the settings for us. And we've got our trip 1 versus 2. Press the left button here. We've got our fuel economy. Driver assistance is when we get into a few things. So the blind spot system. So that's going to let us know if anybody's under the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. Again, we're going to get an indicator light there, letting us know if anybody's under the blind spot. Cross traffic alert, as we're backing up, if we don't see an oncoming vehicle, we will get an audible siren letting us know that there's a vehicle there. Cruise control, we've got 2 different types, either adaptive or normal. If you don't like the idea of adaptive cruise, you can turn it off here. Driver alert is tied into the lane keeping system. So if you get too many alerts through the lane keeping system here, it's going to give you an alert letting you know that you should probably rest. Pressing OK here. Now we've got a couple different modes in the lane keeping system. The alert is going to be a steering wheel shake. The aid is going to recenter you and pull you back into your lane. And then the alert and the aid is going to pull you back into your lane, while at the same time giving you a little bit of a steering wheel shake. And back, we've got our pre-collision assist. So the way that the pre-collision assist works, if the vehicle in front of you slams on their brakes and you don't respond, it'll pre-charge the brakes for you. If you don't brake, it'll automatically brake the vehicle. The rear parking aid is the beeping that we get as we're reversing the vehicle. All right, and then some generic settings here as well. So we can set up the My Key here. Looking at generic vehicle settings, we can turn on the auto engine off. Change some of the lighting, locks, oil life reset. So when the oil's changed, you reset it here. Power liftgate, we can change that so that it's off as well. Remote start. Now the vehicle is equipped with a remote start, and this is where you can get into what you want to have happen when the remote start is activated. So you can change the climate to have it set. Obviously, the one that would make the most sense would probably be your last setting. Seats and wheel to remember you. Duration of the remote start to last as well. And back out, we've got our windows, remote open. And wipers, we've either got courtesy wipe, which again, same thing, I don't recommend turning that one on, but I do recommend keeping the rain sensing wipers on. That's a good thing to have. And the reason why is because it'll automatically flip the windshield wipers for you automatically based on the intensity of the rain. And there we've got it. We've got our basic settings here, so you can obviously select whatever your preference is there for that left screen. There we go. Now, off to the right-hand side here. So if we take a look, we've got another set of buttons down here. This is going to control the screen. So we've got options between entertainment, navigation, or our phone. So navigation, if we have navigation going, it'll pop up here. Entertainment is going to list the song that's currently playing or the station that we've got going right now. Glasses on. Vehicle started. Let's mute this for the drive. All right, windshield wipers pull in towards us here. And let's do this. So this is the 2-liter engine. Very curious what this thing's gonna be like on the road. Oh, looks like there's some folks there. Oh, definitely not gonna be able to get back in time. All right, there we go. Now, beeping that we were getting there, that was the cross traffic alert. Just letting me know that there was an oncoming vehicle from a side that I couldn't see. Love it. I love that feature. All right, here we go. Let's get some AC going here. There we go. Ah, there we go. That's nice. All right. And blind spot indicators are there, but I'm just going to check to make sure that we're good. Just a force of habit. Even though the blind spot indicator is there, I always just feel the need to check. All right. So very similar to a few of the other Ford vehicles that have been driven so far. This thing is quiet. Adjust this here a little bit, just so you can hear the whisper quiet of this vehicle. Alright, so the vehicle is equipped with a lane keeping system. So the lane keeping system, you have to be about 60, 62 kilometers an hour for the thing to actually activate. So if we look here, so I'm going about 59 right now, and it's not activated. So I'm going to speed up a tiny little bit. Let's go to 60. Here we go, and watch the screen on the left side there. We'll see those lanes. There we go. So as you can see there, the lanes are now green, which means that the system is fully active right now. So we're at 65 kilometers an hour before the system actually turned on. It's comfortable. Just went over some bumps there, and you see my head bounce a tiny little bit, but the suspension in this thing's pretty nice. So one thing to point out there, if you saw the screen on the bottom left there, only one lane was active. That's because the vehicle recognized there wasn't a lane on the right side, which is 100% correct because I'm traveling in the right lane. Alright, there we go. Oh, it's comfortable. Now this is a cloth seat as well too, and it's still I'd say fairly comfortable for being cloth. I'm not an overly big guy, like I'm 175 pounds. And like I'm comfortably sitting in this vehicle, like 6 feet. I still could drop the seat down a little bit more, but it's good to know for people that are a little bit taller, a little bit bigger, that this vehicle will be a comfortable fit. All right, and same thing. Let's take this thing onto the highway, see how it handles. Too shabby. Such a quiet ride. This is nice. Alright, highway time. There's a vehicle in front of me there. An F-150, funny enough. Old school one. So I'm just going to let this guy speed up a bit. I'm going to give it a little bit of gas and see how quickly we can get up to highway speed here. Alright, a few oncoming vehicles, so let's do this. Oncoming vehicles, I should say. A few other vehicles that are potentially going to be a problem, but this thing is going. Alright, and just like that, up to one. Alright, we're up to highway speed. We're traveling with traffic here, and this thing is comfortable. It's a quiet ride next to no road noise in the vehicle right now. As you can see there, left-hand side, the lane keeping system's active, and it's just in the steering wheel shake, so I'm just going to slightly veer over onto a lane here. And I don't know if you can see the vibrations there, but and then you see the lane turn red there. Lets you know that you've crossed over a lane without signaling. Works well, though. Very, very quiet ride, a very comfortable ride. There's that blind spot indicator on the right-hand side there. You can see as we're coming up to vehicles here. I'll slow it down. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see it. Kind of see it there. There we go. There we go. Oh, it's gone. All right. What I'll do is I'll get into the right lane and pass a vehicle just so you can see what that looks like here. Pass a vehicle, or I should say let a vehicle pass me. Alright, well, let's wait for this Volkswagen to get out of the way, figure out what he's doing there. Alright, let's do this. Alright, over one. We're going to see it. Is this Murano going to get out of the way? No.
speed there. All right, let's see. Oh, this guy's getting over as well, huh? Let's, I guess, pass these guys. So I'm actually going to show you the adaptive cruise settings now. So we're going to hit the on button here. And then what we're going to do is press the set button. So we've got the car set right now at 60. Let's slow it down a little bit. So we're at 60 kilometers an hour. And what we're going to see is the speed start to decrease here as we get closer to the vehicle in front of us. So traffic is stopped now. The car is automatically braking by itself. Still braking by itself. Almost brought me down to a complete stop. My foot is off the gas and it's picking me right back up to speed. I'm just going to shorten the distance so that it brings me up to speed a bit quicker here. But it is completely controlling the speed even at these lower street speeds that we're at right now. Love it. So as you can see here, the bottom left-hand side there where the lane system is, you can see I've got it set to 65 kilometers an hour, but the vehicle is only going 40 right now. It's automatically braking, it's automatically speeding back up. I'm not doing any of that myself. The vehicle's doing it. That's one of the nice things about this system is that it automatically slows you down. It's got stop and go, so it can take you to a complete stop if necessary, and then pick you back up to that highway speed, or the speed that you were set at, I should say. Oh, that's nice. All right. Still that check. Always check it. Very nice. Very quiet ride. Lots of power. It's these turbo engines that Ford's putting out. These things are fantastic. Alright, and here we go. Let's cross over here. Back her up. Alright. So be able to figure out what this backup system is like now. Oh, that was terrible. Terrible. Let's fix that. Oh, I can't wait for these bad boys, those Mustangs. That's going to be a fun drive. Saving those for close to last, obviously. Alright, yeah, let's see the screen there. So as you can see, as we get back towards an obstacle there. And then we've got the rear parking aid button here as well. But then, with the vehicle in drive, that's it. Alright guys, that was the 2020 Ford Edge SEL. Hope you enjoyed it.